Everybody, Mark Simmer here. I work for the Minnesota Small Business Assistance Office, part of the Department of Employment and Economic Development. Welcome to our monthly call, second Tuesday of every month at 2 p.m. Today we have a lot of our resource partners with us, the SBDC rep. We have Launch Minnesota from within our agency. We have another business financing rep from within Deed itself. We have a representative from the Minnesota Chamber and the SBA. And today's theme is Season of Small Business Campaign. Really what I was answering an email about this, I think, earlier this week. It's really a focus on small business this time of year, help people be aware that there are lots of opportunities to assist small businesses with purchases and understanding that this is a big time of year for probably almost every business to make that year-end push to get them in the black. With no further ado, I would just like to add that we are recording the meeting, and if you would come into the meeting, mute yourself. That would be easier for everyone else to hear. I am going to try and run a slideshow for different people to speak about. So let me try this. And Andy from the SBDC, I believe I will start with you.
All right. Well, thanks, Mark, and good afternoon, everyone. Calling in or actually videoing in from Chisholm, Minnesota, where it is currently cooling off tremendously and there's plenty of snow on the ground. So we are definitely in that winter season now. So happy to be here this afternoon. Just really talk about the SBDC and what we've been able to do this year, but really share our season of small business campaign that we've been just talking about here. So overall, our 9 regional centers and additional satellite offices throughout Minnesota, we've really been a priority here to increase the visibility of our entrepreneurs that we do serve, but then also really highlight them over the season of small business. So this year itself, over the last month and a half or so, we've been able to go to St. Joseph's, for those that want the proper term, right outside the St. Cloud area. But then also we were on Lake Street last week in Minneapolis and really learning about the businesses that are being really receptive to enhancements of their business, how they can really promote themselves during the season, but then also what's been making them unique. So we've had an opportunity to really dive in deep with them to understand about what their favorite things of the holiday season have been, how they've been impacted by obviously, client flow, customer traffic, and such, but also really sharing about what our partners in the ecosystem, not only at the federal level, state level, but also local partners, have been able to do to help them with their business. So we've had the opportunity to meet with a variety of them at Lake Street and then also St. Joe's and share, the season of small business. The one thing I'll add to that is we certainly want to make sure that this is just not a one-time thing. We certainly want to continue the season of small business and really doing business tours in the months to come. So even though we are getting towards the end of the holiday season here in the next few weeks, we want to continue this over the next few months and really showcase our partners, our entrepreneurs in different communities, but also, have the ability to interact with them on a daily basis or weekly basis during the season itself. So in 2024, year to date for the Small Business Development Center program in Minnesota, we're on pace really for that record year where we've helped nearly 5,000 clients year to date statewide. Anything from your traditional downtown mom and pop shop businesses on your Main Street corridors to manufacturers, to agriculture, food and beverage, you name it. A lot of our SBCs across the state have been able to serve in their capacity of helping entrepreneurs with no cost business consulting. Um, the one thing that, even though we're in a very uncertain sometimes economic environment, we still have helped these businesses get about $200 million in capital invested, either from lending options or their own self equity, to really increase the visibility, but also access to capital in their business itself. And with that, in our underserved rural areas or some of our minority businesses itself, we've helped 218 new businesses year to date start, in those communities. So definitely proud of the way our SBC has not only responded, but also has been impacted a lot of these businesses on their day-to-day activities, especially as we enter and get out of closely to this holiday season where, as Mark mentioned before, a lot of these businesses really try to promote themselves because this is the bulk of their investments that come to fruition during the holiday season. So a couple things for 2025 to wrap up my time here for some different initiatives that we're going to be starting to work on through the Minnesota Small Business Development Center program. Even though we've helped businesses generate about $200 million in capital, we know that there are still gaps statewide, especially in some of these underserved areas. So we'll be certainly looking at ways to get access to capital and training and development for a lot of our rural areas. But then also looking at some of those succession transitions. We see a lot of organizations there at their time where they like to sell their business and turn over to a new partner, family member, or another community member. So we're certainly looking at a variety of different ways of how we can transition those businesses properly, but also provide the best training tools possible through the work of the SBDCs. So I do not have my contact information directly on here. I'll put that in the chat here. But if you ever have any questions or in your community yourself want to see one of these small business tours as we enter the new year, certainly feel free to reach out. Our team with not only the SBDC, but also with the Office of Small Business and Innovation here at DEED, we'll certainly look at getting something on the calendar so we can certainly come to your community and have a nice little walking tour on a crisp January or February day. So with that, I will turn it over to our next group.
Oh, and our next group happens to be me. But Andy, I have a question for you. How many centers are around the state and how many satellites are there?
Absolutely. So we have 9 regional centers currently throughout the state with an additional 25 additional satellite locations in different parts of the state itself. We are looking at actually adding that in 2025. So our goal is to keep increasing not only our capacity throughout the state, but also making sure that we're in every little county we serve, but also every geographical region. So we have plenty of opportunity for entrepreneurs to get connected in person to our SBDCs.
Great. Thanks, Andy. Let's see. Our next group here, is our community partnerships. What we have here is a QR code, if everyone can see that, along with a search tool that you can look in different regions, look by language
Mark,
served.
you cannot see it.
Man, I knew that. I knew that would happen. So let's see. When I do share my screen.
Hello?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, hi. I was trying to get into, is this a Zoom meeting? I was trying to get into it and the ID that I have is not working.
This is a Teams meeting. So Zoom will not
Teams.
work for this meeting. Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I will switch my apps. Thank you very much.
No problem. Okay, I just have to scramble a second and go grab this. Now, if I share this, can you see this slide? And can people see this?
Not yet, Mark. No.
All right, Brandon, I'm sure you're here to help me out. Brandon Toner from from DEED. Sure. How do I share this stuff with the meeting?
I can give it a shot.
Sure, go for it.
Give me 1 second here, folks.
That's why Brandon is here, because besides having tons of money in his programs, he is helping us out.
Give me 1 second while I shift these windows around. And then, boom.
Look at that.
Right.
So Brandon, were you going to speak about slide 3, the community partnerships?
Yeah, sure.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I'll give a quick overview of this. So, hi everybody, Brandon Toner. Within the Office of Community Partnerships, within the Small Business and Innovation, we're primarily the grant making operation. Within the Office of Small Business, we put a lot of funding out there in community to help entrepreneurs in Main Streets and innovative tech startups. In partnership with all of the SBDCs and the Launch Minnesota office and others. And I just want to highlight for you all that wherever you live in the state, there is probably somebody that we are funding to help you. And I would encourage you to look at our directory, follow that QR code, follow that link. I'll drop the URL into the chat. and just give that a look. I do admit that it's not the most user-friendly interface, but there's really, really good information in there and contact information. Um, and really, this goes from if you're seeking just basic information, if you're seeking technical assistance, if you're seeking a supportive network of other co-founders, if you're looking for financing capital, lending, grants, whatever, this is probably a pretty good entry point to get connected to all of our partners. All of our partners are aware of each other, and to just get into that community and find folks that can meet your needs. Sorry, I don't think I'm actually on the slide here. I just realized that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to
All
ask
right.
if you can slide her over.
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
Perfect.
Yeah, you can follow that link. You can explore those partners and find somebody who in your area that can meet your needs. And if you represent an organization that wants to be on this prestigious list, we have future funding opportunities that will be available coming in the next fiscal year. So that's July-ish. That's what I'll leave my comments there. We've served over 12,000 businesses in the past 12 months. There's just so much activity, and it really builds off the success and the precedent set by the Small Business Development Center and the Launch Minnesota networks. This is an integral part of all of this. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Brandon. Would you mind hanging around and just push me to the next slides as we go along? And the next slide is mine's.
Yeah,
Hey, look at that,
absolutely.
Small Business Assistance Office. I will not read everything on here. Basically, if you take a look at the information we have here, this will lead into a question later in the meeting that someone asked. Basically, call us, 651-556-8425. We have a toll-free phone number. We have our new kind of biffed up email address, smallbusiness@state.mn.us. Basically, we are a small office, but we can answer everything as far as either answer your questions directly, how you register, what you'll need to do, the steps there, general licensing and permitting information, and we will get you to the right source of information. So again, that's going to reference I could just kind of jump into that right now. We had a question. Part of the question from someone submitted yesterday was, where can I go to find like the steps or all the information that I need to start a business? And I would like to say there is one spot. It's just that we have so many partners that have quite a bit of information and we all overlap. But reach out to all our partners, SBDCs, the SBA, our office. We may not have all the answers, but we can get you to the next agency, the correct spot where you need to go. That was also kind of mentioned in that question. And again, I'll reference that. But basically what we do is we answer everything. We field all the calls, emails, or respond to you. I personally manage the Minnesota e-licensing web portal through our office, and that is basically business permits, registrations, licensing, and anything the state kind of issues. We have it there. It's updated. It's updated by the minute, really depending on, for example, some state agencies like the Minnesota Department of Public Safety just updated their entire website. So all the links changed, but all the information is much more user-friendly. So as just a resident of the state, excuse me, it's a better site to use, but as a business owner, you will be able to find information on gambling devices, on public safety, we have a lot of questions recently on firearms, but they have information on alcohol sales. So that's the type of thing that we keep track of in our office, and we will get you to all our partners. And again, we do this small business call the second Tuesday of each month at 2 p.m. And with that, you've heard me talk enough. Let's push it to the next slide, please. Brandon, if you would do that for me. And let's introduce Rob. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Mark. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to give a little update and overview on what we do in Launch. High level for those of you who don't know, While the state wants to support all kinds of different businesses, be it Main Street or scalable, innovative startups, Launch is really for that latter category. So we try to support technology startups, startups that might have a scalable platform type quality. We do it through a couple of major things. We have a hub and spoke model around the state. We've got 6 regional hubs and a couple of statewide partners that have to date supported over 300 entrepreneurs statewide in that scalable or technology startup category. Over 220 of them are new in the pipeline this year. And over 100 new businesses were formed during the reporting period. So that's pretty cool stuff there. I'll drop a link into the chat for the Launch site. So if you've got any companies in your pipeline or companies that you work with, or if you're leading a company like that, there's a great way to kind of connect in and get plugged into resources to help get you started. We're probably most known for, on this right side of the chart, business innovation grants. So these are 2-for-1 matching grant where the entrepreneur would put in $2 for every dollar awarded. It's a competitive grant cycle. And there are usually about 3 grant cycles per year. Entrepreneurs can qualify for up to $35,000 of grant funding. So we've awarded about $1.5 million in 2024 to 54 companies around the state. Excited that 74% of them, 3 out of every $4, have gone to targeted groups. So either Greater Minnesota, BIPOC, women, veteran, or disabled founders. It's really cool stuff there. A couple other high-level points I'd make, and then I'll hand the ball back to Mark. We also do work on broad-based ecosystem development. So we're part of the Minnesota MedTech Coalition. Some of you may have heard of. This is a coalition led by Greater MSP, but also Medtronic, Mayo Clinic, University of Minnesota. Many other partners are tied to this to try to build out the future of MedTech and establish Minnesota as a worldwide leader in MedTech technology. Since we probably last maybe gave a little update on this, I think a couple of quarters ago, Launch has stood up a strategic assessment team to lead an incubator project within Minnesota MedTech, and really built out the architecture of how companies will flow through our partners. And in addition, Greater MSP has posted now a managing director role for the overall initiative, because just having a focused, dedicated resource is going to be transformational. We've seen that in a few other ecosystem development initiatives in the state, most notably recently the Sustainable Airline Fuel program. In addition, I wanted to give you a little flyover on something that may be coming, the Star of the North Innovation Conference, which is a broad-based innovation and economic development conference. Launch is helping participate again with a broad coalition of folks who are interested in bringing something transformational to the ecosystem here. You can envision multiple tracks, maybe a clean tech, med tech track, general startups, bringing the whole ecosystem together, including our strategic corporations, higher ed, financials, venture capital, and angels. And really trying to bring in people from not just Minnesota and all over Minnesota, but outside Minnesota and even globally to participate. So we're really looking at trying to get the financial backing to bring this to bear, maybe fall of 25, early 26, but just kind of keep your eyes open, because more may be coming here on this front. Kind of an exciting way to build out and put a spotlight on our ecosystem. So Mark, that's all I've got. I'll leave my contact information here. Always happy to engage with anybody who wants to reach out and has any follow-up questions.
Thanks, Rob. I really appreciate that. We can move on. Brandon, if you push the next slide, we will have Stefan Wolf from Deed talk about business financing through Deed itself.
Thank you, Mark. Hello, everyone. Stefan Wolf here. I lead the Office of Business Finance. What we do is we provide access to over 30 programs that are either administered directly by our finance staff or indirectly through our community partners. Those could be CDFIs or nonprofit lending institutions. And what I wanted to do today was just share with you a tool or a resource for you. So if you get out your smartphone and you open up your camera and you take a picture of the QR code there, once you get to that site, if you then click on Finance, you will then see a menu, if you will, that has a list of financing programs that are customizable based on the characteristics of your business. What you'll do is you'll find opportunities for grants, such as the ones that Rob just mentioned as far as Launch Minnesota or perhaps SciTech Experience. We also provide financing through tax credits. The Angel Tax Credit Program provides a tax credit to investors that make investments in small businesses that are high-tech based. It's a very popular program of ours, been around for about 14 years. We also provide geographically based incentives for job creation or expansion. If you're seeking loan capital to grow your business or get your business off the ground, we offer direct programs such as our military loan program or our angel loan program. And then we also offer programs through our through our lending partners throughout the statewide. A couple programs would be like Emerging Entrepreneur Loan Program or Community Wealth Building. And then one thing that we're not well known for, but I hope to spread the word, is that we also have a program that can make direct equity investments in your small businesses through our state small business credit initiative. And the way we offer those investments is through a partnership with the University of Minnesota through the Office of Investment Banking. So again, thank you for your time. I'll drop my contact information in the chat also. But like I said, you could reach each of those programs and many more that I didn't have time to name by name through the tool there on the screen. Thanks so much, Mark.
Yes. Oh, thanks, Stefan. I use that information daily, answering quite a few different questions, whether they come in by phone or through email. So, Brandon, if you got me push to the next slide, from the Minnesota Chamber, we welcome Sean O'Neill. There we go.
All right. Thanks so much, Mark. It's great to be with everyone here this afternoon. And I'm with the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce, and maybe just quick background on the Chamber itself for anyone who's not familiar. We are a member-based statewide business organization. So we represent businesses of all sizes and all industries across the state of Minnesota. And we are an organization that we provide advocacy. We're a voice for businesses at the state capitol. We provide a variety of events and leadership programs to connect business leaders together in the state. Then we have a variety of direct service programs to try to help create kind of tailored solutions to help companies stay and grow in the state. One of those programs is called Grow Minnesota, and that's the program that I direct. And Grow Minnesota is the economic development arm of the Chamber. It's been around for over 20 years now. And we meet with companies around the state to better understand what they have going on in their business, what some of their major challenges are, what their growth and expansion opportunities are. And then through those meetings, be able to connect them to different resources to help them be successful. Sometimes that's connecting them with the types of resources that you just heard about. Other times it's connecting to other businesses, whether that's a supplier, potential customer. But we try to really understand the business and their needs, and then think about who we can connect them with to meet a challenge or an opportunity. And maybe just one kind of story to illustrate how we do that. I met with a business yesterday. They were a small manufacturer in Southwest Minnesota, and they were really in need of some market research data to better understand kind of where they fit into their product segment in the market. And I connected them with the SBDC in Southwest Minnesota, who got back within minutes with all sorts of great information, and then connected them with some different local market research firms that they could kind of get more in-depth consulting services from. So that's really the role that we play, is try to understand the business's need and then figure out who we can connect them with. We provide that service to members and non-members, and we don't charge a direct fee to work with companies. So we're happy to meet with any business, and you can feel free to reach out to our office to set up a visit. A couple other things I'll mention real quick are, over the past year, we've put out 3 different business resource guides to try to help make it easier for companies to navigate the set of resources and programs that are out there for them in some certain areas. So we have one related to access to capital, another one around exporting and trade resources, and a third around workforce and hiring resources. And again, we hope that's just kind of an easy to navigate source of some of this information that gets companies to the right programs and resource providers faster. And those can be downloaded through our website. And then lastly, I'll just mention that the Chamber does have other resources for small businesses as well. We have 2 sustainability programs called Energy Smart and WasteWise that help companies with energy saving or waste reduction strategies and can help them get some rebates and grants to implement those kinds of projects. We have a program called Chamber Health that provides health insurance products to small businesses, and an online portal called HR Now that helps companies navigate changing workforce compliance laws, has other kind of HR strategies and tips that small businesses can access. So again, all of that can be found on our website. I included some links here and can include some additional contact information in the chat. But thank you to all the partners and for all of you businesses on the call for being here today.
Well, thanks very much, Sean. We enjoyed the presentation last month, energy wise, and then waste wise will be coming up. Great information. All right, we're packed here. We've got more information. One, we have our representative from the SBA, Don Jackson. And as he walks up to the mic, hopefully. Don, are you here? Well, we'll see if we get an answer there. Basically, if you just look at the slide, SCORE is sponsored through the SBA, free business mentoring. Really good resource for lots of different backgrounds of people who can help. Their services are free. They have a lot of good live webinars I know personally, and then very good recorded information. Also, the SBA sponsors the SBDCs and then the Women's Business Centers. So the SBA has their own season of small business where they are also kind of trying to nationally support small businesses during this season. So we'll go through there. And Brandon, if you do me one more favor, you could push me to the next slide. This is a connection we had from our communications department, which is also a different way to add information about grants for businesses and what they're offering. It's our adult career pathway group. Really, there are grants available for businesses providing diversity and inclusion within their business. So you need to take a look at the slide. Basically, the more detailed information is at their link. But it really is an opportunity to help a business, from what I see, grow and expand. And it's a kind of a connection between business and employment. So people can take a look at that. I know we had a question in the chat. I'll start going to those. I'm going to try and get just the slide deck. I'll put it on the page that we list the meetings recordings. So if you go out to Deed, you can find the small business call page. We have all the recorded topics. So each meeting is recorded. And I'll try and get this slide deck there. So Brandon, if you wouldn't mind one more time, we can just put the slide deck away. I can jump into some questions here. I had a couple submitted, and I referenced one, and I think multiple people can maybe help me answer this. The question was basically, a lot happens at the state legislative level that is almost impossible for a small business to keep up with, especially with changes when they're brought into law. How can Deed or other government agencies provide businesses with changes that are being brought forth by the legislature, along with dates of public review and comment? So if anybody else wants to jump in there, I know I would answer that. What I do in our office, and I know most of us try and do, is you can subscribe to my bills through the House and through the state Senate. You can track bills. It gives you a synopsis of what the bill is, where it's headed to, the voting on it. So it's kind of a detailed way to do that. But if anyone else on the call has some easier ways for people to do that, I know that Dee does a newsletter, a blog. If other people have suggestions, please jump in. Well, I was I was hoping for maybe some more comment on that, but let's have people think about that. Another question that is kind of directed toward a little more direct towards our partners here. When a new business is registered with the Secretary of State, does it guide the business owner with adequate questions to fulfill other requirements? From what I could gather, the attached additional actions kind of what there wasn't a reference for them. So basically, looks like someone was trying to register their business with the Secretary of State and then move on to find the licensing information. It looked like for a bed and breakfast. So I will just take a shot at answering this. Generally, again, most of us have, and all our partners have information on a broad array of things. It just doesn't cover everything, but you can certainly contact our office. We have the Minnesota e-licensing site that we refer to, so we can answer your questions about how to set it up, if you need a tax ID number, if you need licensing. So the Secretary of State, I'll drop these in the chat, some of the links to different documents. There is quite a bit of information for small businesses. I don't know of one site where you can get all the answers, because every situation is unique. Whether you're setting up a grocery store that covers different agencies. So if anybody else wants to chime in with an answer about is there a way that they found to push people to get the best answers for starting their business?
Hey, Mark, this is Andy. Just
Yeah.
bring up a few different items too. If that individual does have a question, they can certainly talk to their local SBDC. A lot of our offices have a business checklist. So when you do get registered, about different licensing, what might be applicable in your local area, if there's any other taxes or different licenses that you need to get, that local office could be of assistance. They also do have a checklist of other resources that what to think about as well. So it might be something from a federal assistance or any of the other requirements that they might need to be getting, or even special permitting with that. So have them connect their local office with the SBDC. Yeah. They should be able to assist.
Oh, absolutely. And that's really how I try and answer questions too, is find people that are local in your area, the SBDCs, their SCORE. There are different CDFIs that offer different information. Don't be maybe overwhelmed that there isn't one place to find it, because as you've seen, if you jump on this thing called the internet, there are many ways to find so many answers for things. What we will help you do, the SBDCs will help you do, is narrow those down, take it piece by piece, help you, point you in the right direction. Not everything has to be answered all at one time. There are things that you progress to when you are developing your business. So I threw a couple links in from what the Secretary of State offers. Their site has become much better. They've worked with us on establishing this document. Let me just grab that. 5 steps to start your business in Minnesota. There are more than 5 steps, but it's a good starting point for businesses. Our office, today, I think I'm pretty much done updating the Guide to Starting a Business in Minnesota. It's a book that really is very in-depth about different types of business structures, how to register, business tax information, business license information, permit information, and contacts for different agencies. We are focusing a little bit more nowadays on getting that online. It has been online. We have a better format for it. So we are doing that. That will be hopefully this week even. I will get the newest version up and posted so people can access that. We are looking at developing a chat bot, not to push people away from us. Basically, let's get those answers out to them. All the answers and the information will be based through our guide to starting a business and answers that we have, so we can get those answers out to people 24/7. So that would be my answer to that general question about, where do I go to get all my questions answered. It's a process. There's lots of good people that can give you answers to things that you're asking for, and also give you answers and things to think about that you hadn't thought of. So that's why I like the idea that most of us in this type of activity, business activity, our partners, we overlap. So we try and provide different layers of information, and you can take those and build on that. Trying to see, I'm going to go down to some of our other questions here. Brandon, if you're still there, we had a question for you. I believe it's for you. Does the community partner list, includes small business nonprofits?
I'm not sure what's meant by small business nonprofits, but I will define what it does include. It includes anybody who's receiving grant funds from our team to provide technical assistance to small businesses. So that list may not include all of our lenders, because some of our lenders only do lending. But this list is everybody who provides technical assistance. And some of that may include lenders and other program participants.
Yep.
And most of these are either nonprofits, local community colleges, and in some cases, local governments.
Cool. Great answer. Okay. Here's a question probably none of us have heard about before. How to access grants that would be helpful for new small businesses. Does anyone have that magic source of grants?
I can actually address that question. So,
Sure.
Typically grants don't exist for businesses generally as a rule, but there have been some grant funding opportunities through a lot of COVID relief efforts and economic recovery efforts. And I can say that there are 2 existing grant opportunities that are live right now, but I just want to emphasize that these are very geographically restricted. And those 2 opportunities are the Main Street Economic Revitalization Grants and the Promise Act grants. And I'll talk about the Promise Act grants real quick. The legislature authorized some funding, very, very geographically restricted in the metro area, a little bit wider availability in greater Minnesota, in the non-metro area, but much less funding across a wider area in greater Minnesota. And you can just literally Google Promise Act grants, and the webpage will pop up right at the top there. And then the other funding opportunity is the Main Street Economic Revitalization Program. This is a community-led, regional-led effort where local communities will request an allocation of funding for specific commercial corridors in their community. And then if they get funded and the business is located in that community, that they may end up being eligible for, like a facade improvement grant or rehabbing their space or some kind of capital improvements. But once again, this isn't like generally available. It is very, very restricted to specific geographies. So there's no real way from the state perspective, for an individual business to participate directly. They would have to go through a local partner to determine whether or not they're in the eligible area and if they're eligible for that grant opportunity. So, yeah.
Hey, Mark, this is Don Jackson with the SBA. I just kind of wanted to reiterate what Brandon was talking about, because we get this call a lot at the federal level. Unless you can cure cancer while putting somebody on Mars, a grant from the federal government is going to be extremely difficult. I do see that some people are sharing in the chat feature that you can go to grants.gov to see what other federal agencies may be doing grants. You can also work with our MN SBIR team, but this is going to be on some of those really specific technical types of things, or things that's going to go to commercialization. Some of the best bets that I can say that have been out there as far as a grant that's worked, take a look at our cell phones nowadays. For 40 years ago, these were big, huge mobile devices that the military used. But through SBIR, through some of these different programs, through other federal agencies, we now have the mini computers in our pockets. Not to say that anybody can't go out there and take a look, but the other big thing with a grant, typically it's a long process, takes about 2 or 3 years to write a grant proposal. It's usually a team writing a grant. And if you don't meet the deliverables, that federal agency can ask for the grant money back. So just to kind of put that information out there for anybody who is looking for grants, you're going to have some skin in the game also.
Yeah.
There's going to be some things that you need to do, but it doesn't hurt to, again, work with our resource partners, kind of understand that the timeline can be very time consuming.
Yep. Perfect answer. That's kind of what I was trying to connect with is, if you just go to one source, if you're trying to look for that, you may not get all that information, business owners. I mean, all of us know a lot of different things, and that is Don, exactly what I try and tell people. There have been some. This is what it's focused on right now for a grant. It's very specific, but let's see what you can do to develop your product, develop your business. There are other options besides grants, and would you agree with this, Don? Put your time focused on what is out there and what you can build on, rather than chasing the thing that maybe two people away talked
Exactly.
about. Yeah.
So don't go chasing after the unicorn. That's what I say.
Yes.
Too many people try to chase the unicorn, when in reality, if you take a look at what's out there as far as lending programs, either through the state or through the loan guarantee programs that the SBA has with our lending partners, those are the more traditional ones that you can work with. You'd have to work with SCORE, SBDC, make sure you have a strong business plan, finances, financial mitigation, all those different things. So where you are going to get some type of funding, and then again, work with SCORE or SBDC to know the difference between debt versus equity. What do you want to give up in your business?
That's cannot say it any better than that. There are a lot of considerations to include. Thanks, Don. I'm going to drop in something here. I see we have in the chat some questions going on here. I think some people are providing some answers. I wanted to throw this information in, somewhat to promote ourselves, but I will bring my boss in, Charles Schaefer, to talk about the newest update to the Corporate Transparency Act. And it's the link here that I threw in was for the December notes. So, Charles, is there anything new going on with the BOIR?
Well, there's a surprising amount that's new. Recall that the Corporate Transparency Act is a federal law that requires pretty much every business in the country to provide the Department of Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network with information about who are the actual, or they call it, beneficial owners of the company. Yep. The Treasury sees that as both a crime prevention and an anti-terrorism mechanism. The initial efforts have been going on for a couple of years, talking back and forth before the legislation actually passed to the point where it was a possibility of operating. And it was set up now that pretty much every business in the country would have to respond by December 31st or
Yep.
January 1st with the kind of information about beneficial owner. Essentially name, address, telephone number, passport numbers, things like that for the beneficial owners. On December 2nd, a federal judge in Texas enjoined the enforcement of that nationally in a case with the wonderful name of Texas Top Cop Shop v. Garland, Garland being the Attorney General of the United States. The Department of Justice immediately, 3 days later, on December 5th, appealed that to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. So it's all back up in the air. The advice that everyone gives now is if you've already started to get the stuff, get the information gathered for reporting, keep it handy. If you haven't, you might want to start looking at it and see.
Yeah. Thanks, Charles. Yeah, I've been starting to answer a lot more of those questions. Some of the simple questions are, can I do it myself? Do I have to hire somebody? The simple answer is take a look at it yourself first. I'm just going out here to grab the link with that updated information that you spoke about the filing alert. And kind of like with the EIN numbers, you will find other companies are the first on the list, but only go to the fincen.gov site. And I'll just throw it in the link here. So the reporting is on hold. They do say that there are no penalties for waiting, but if you'd like to do it ahead of time while it's on hold, you may go ahead. I have helped a couple people look at this. It's pretty straightforward, but that certainly is important information as the year 2025 rolls around and there are new requirements, or that deadline gets to be shorter for new businesses. I've been looking in the chat here. I see a few questions come in. While I'm looking at those, let me just throw out a quick question here, just in general for anyone who can offer some help here. Someone asked things to consider if merging a partnership with a larger agency to serve a larger population. So just a kind of a broad question on does anyone have some advice for that? Some things to consider? And that question is open up for anyone. And certainly if you have a question, if you're listening to the meeting, just raise your hand or take yourself off mute. Actually, I'll go right to Empress. If you want to unmute and ask your question, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, hi. I don't know how to take it off. I
You're
typed my
working.
question in.
Okay. Oh, no problem. Well, what actually was your question?
Well, I was invited to like a meet and greet with Deed in September, and they gave me some very helpful information. Part of that information was a list of SBAs around the state, and I've called the one in my area, emailed them, and outside the area just to get some of my general questions answered, and I've gotten no response. So I was just wondering if there's someone else that I can maybe speak to just to ask general questions.
Sure, Andy, if you're here, do you want to answer that one?
I put it in the chat there, but why don't you just shoot me an email?
Yep.
Let me know where you're located at. My email address is Andrew, that's ANDREW .Donahue, DONAHUE @state.mn.us. I'll take a look here, and then I'll get you connected to the local office directly. We can have a conversation about what resources are available.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks for asking that question. I saw someone threw in the chat, which I had forgot to mention with the BOIR on hold. Legal Core is a free legal advice service. They are doing some webinars, I think today and tomorrow, on the report itself, and I see that people have thrown in their answers on the report. So that the BOIR should be a one-time report. It's relatively straightforward. The site, from my personal experience, has been a little bit funky, that you may need to do part of it a second time, but it's not really onerous. It just takes time to do that. But currently that's on hold. So I'm just going to look here to see if we have any other questions, and certainly if anyone wants to just come off mute and ask, please go ahead. Yeah. As I'm looking in the chat, I mean, here's a question: does a business that just registered for an assumed name need to file a BOI? The simple question with that is yes. Any business that has filed with a Secretary of State office, see if I get the exact word correctly, or followed any other state required forms, and I believe that's the wording is general to all the states, then yes, you do need to. The way it stands now, the way it's worded, is that you will need to do that report. Let me just see here. Again, the meeting is being recorded. We try and get those up within a couple days. I will put the slide deck so people can take a little more time looking at that. And really just contact any one of us, the chamber, the SBA, the SBDCs, our office, your local chamber of commerce. We all have information and we all know each other as far as what we can offer you. Just ask and we will help get that information to you. See that Andy put his email in there again. So if there are no other questions, I really appreciate everyone joining us on this call. I'm always super interested in seeing that people are paying attention. They want information. We're always here. And I'll just sign off with what I tell the people that I talk to. Our information isn't anything necessarily unique or only secret. If you call the Small Business Assistance Office, we can just get that information to you at the top of the pile. You can go to other sources and confirm what you're hearing from us. We just try and pull it out for you, make it easier for you to listen to understand, get it to you in different formats. Again, we'll talk to you on the phone. We will text with you. I've texted with quite a few people and emails don't work. We'll email. We have our guide and hopefully we'll get that chat bot up and running. So if there is nothing else, I'm just taking one more quick look here. I would wish everybody happy holidays. Be careful out in the snow flurries we have out here in the metro area. So with that, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.